Welcome to Origin Stories. I'm RD.
I'm Parrot.
We're telling stories behind the digital art revolution
Each week we interview top artists.
and live stream with the community.
Let's go. Today is tomorrow's origin story. What's up?
Yo, surprise late edition. Pete Mowerbacher's here. What's going on?
I'm here.
Happy in-family birthday.
Yeah, thanks. It's my son's birthday today. Just hanging out.
We're all in the afterglow of hearing that Pete would join us today because we weren't necessarily expecting him. But man, you carved the time out and you're here. Amazing.
Hey, that's my whole strategy. I just try to make myself seem as unavailable as possible, so when I do show up, everyone's happy about it. I'm an international man of mystery. What can I say?
Well, around the horn here, obviously Parrot, myself, we got Defaced over here, and Peter Mowerbacher and Robbie Trevino. Big one. Big live stream today.
Yeah, how's everyone doing?
Good. How about y'all?
Chilling. Nice weather we got here in Seattle. And yeah, everything's good. It's almost summertime, guys.
And this summer it will most likely be much better than last summer. For me, anyway. I don't know about you guys, but last summer was awful.
Oh yeah, I remember you telling me about last summer.
Yeah. Well, I feel like for a lot of people, like BLM was kicking off here. Do you remember that? Like,
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
oh yeah, just like Seattle specifically was kind of at the front and center of that, and then just obviously like the pandemic and like everything else. It's looking a lot better this year, though.
Yeah, I agree, man.
All right, I just let the people know that Pete's here, so let's go. Real quick, just to frame today. So, big day for the two men on the bottom of the screen. We got Peter Mowerbacher and Robbie Trevino. How classic is that? On the same day in the Artifacts Project, 7 p.m. Eastern today. And as well, I know Defaced, you're getting close to something big yourself. So.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on.
I don't know what can be said or what can't be said, but there's stuff. There's a lot in the air. So, Parrot, if you mind if I take it away, ask these guys a few questions?
Let's go.
Let's do this. Peter Mowerbacher. I feel this moment has been a long time in the making. I think I've alluded to or specifically told you so many stories about Parrot and I's conversations about you and your artwork. So it feels pretty amazing that you're here with us all together on this live stream. But yeah, you're aware of these stories. You're aware this is Parrot and I's origin story is centered around you.
It's true.
I've heard that you guys have been beaming a lot of love my way for a long time. I don't know what the appropriate reaction to that is. It's a positive thing for sure. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know I don't know. It's like thank you.
Perfect. We'll take it, man. We want to say it's very, very meaningful. This moment is very meaningful because of that. Brings me back to Parrot when you and I were first interacting way back in the Twitter days, a while back in the year 2020, which in NFT terms is may as well be 2010.
Yeah.
Pete, how about your artwork? I want to just give you the mic. It's a one-of-one original artwork, but the question I love to ask is, when posed with the question, how would you represent yourself? How did you choose that artwork? How did you put it forth?
So Raziel, it was like when I did the original series of 12 Angels way back in like 2005. Raziel was the very last one done. He's the sort of capstone of the collection, and has been the face of the brand for a really long time. I have a giant 10-foot tall, 20-foot wide banner that I would pop up at conventions with that Raziel painting on it. So anyone who's been around big comic book conventions for the last few years has seen that giant Raziel painting come with me to all my different appearances. When you asked what would you use to represent you in a as part of like how would you represent your art as a whole with like a single piece? What's the iconic piece that you'd be represented by? I was like, oh, easy. Like I know some artists, they were conflicted about which pieces they would choose, and for me, I was totally certain in the choice right away.
Amazing, man. And the follow-up question to that is I said this to Robbie the other day. So Robbie, you had this is your sort of second moment of the week, the Discord stage as well. So you know that this line of questioning is coming, but seeing your painting come to life in 3D form, how did that? How was that whole experience? What did you anticipate going into it, and how is it sort of seeing an interpretation of Raziel rotating?
It's weird. I mean, I live in a 2D world, and so seeing the work made into 3D feels like almost like I'm seeing somebody else's thing. It definitely feels like a collaboration to me.
Mm-hmm. Robbie Trevino, same question. I know you've done it on Discord, but the same question, man. Could you go over Infinite? So Infinite is your one-of-one original artwork. Can you go into that just a little bit? I know you also had the origin story come out today. First person ever, by the way, to have an origin story come out on the same day as also joining the live stream. So you made history, my friend.
Oh, geez. Well, I just saw the back of the 3D geometry. I had not seen that before. That's crazy. I've always wondered what the back of it would look like, since in the 2D illustration, it's basically like an infinite nebulous cosmic void full of like gaseous nebulas and clouds. But basically, you know, like this is gonna sound like something out of like an art school, you know, book, or like some inspirational speech from a teacher. But like, the imagination is infinite, and like in much the same way, it's like how there's so many things that I've done throughout my career as an artist that I never thought I would do. So many opportunities, so many projects, so many directions I took myself, like, that I never expected, never anticipated, never planned for. And it's pretty much opened up my mind to the fact that it's like the possibilities could technically be infinite, you know, given a long enough timeline. So in a similar way, you know, thinking, I'm not one of these artists that sort of has this creative process where it's like the muses take me and, you know, I just, you know, like, like it's, you know, it's all like art house, you know, whatever. I'm pretty methodical. I'm pretty planned out. But like my career where I'm at now, like all of it, some of it was planned, a lot of it wasn't. The possibilities are infinite is what I've come to realize. And much like a sort of like hallucination, like a drug, an experience that can like take hold of you, right, and sort of blind you and grab you and almost like open your mind to like infinite possibilities. Like that's kind of what I wanted to show, like in one image, was like just how life, your career, like opportunities, all of it, like this thing we're living in, right? Like it can just kind of, the possibilities are endless. You know, that's where all the multiple limbs come in, you know, the sort of cosmic void behind it and everything, right? It's this ever-reaching expanse that's just sort of nebulous and mysterious, and as far as we know, infinite as far as the eye can see. And sometimes it can just take hold of you and begin to push you in directions, you know, like the eyes, the multiple limbs, you know, everything overlapping, everything connected and intertwined. Basically, it like just sometimes like these experiences can just take you, grab hold of you, and next thing you know, you're going in like 20 different directions you never thought you'd go before. And I don't know if like that's the like longest, most nonsensical explanation behind it, but here's a shorter version. I like to draw lots of hands and eyeballs. I thought it was cool. That's a more like, you know, bullet pointed version of it. But yeah, hopefully that made some sense.
Very cool work, boys.
Yeah.
Actually, how would you guys? So the relationship of the two of you fascinates me because, I mean, one, just a straight up fan, just very much a fan of what you both do. Two, you've built these incredible worlds, right? So Pete, infamously, Angelarium.
Infamous,
Robbie,
yeah.
Infamous.
Robbie, Numinous, right? So like true worlds with depth and characters and expanses, and the imagination can run wild over what each of you have done. And so again, it's really interesting having you both here. One more question for each of you, and I want to make sure Defaced gets in here as well. But Pete, how would you look at Robbie's work? Like I would love for you to comment on
Well, I've
Numinous
been looking
and
at
Infinite.
Robbie's work for a long time, actually. Like,
Yeah.
the concept art world is really funny in the sense that, like, people see it as this infinite realm of possibilities, and mostly what I see is like a lot of like cyber babes and orcs and stuff, and I'm just like, I'm constantly starving to see something like new and interesting and novel. Like, there's
very homogenized.
yeah, there's a lot of tropes. I mean, it's something that the
Yeah.
entertainment industry really relies on, a lot of stable tropes. And so I'm like a bit of a snob about it, and I want to see something that is outside my expectation. I want to see the vision of an artist who's different than mine, who is like, I'm seeing into another world, another imagination by seeing their work. And I don't get that often. And so there's a few artists out there that I see their stuff and I instantly know that I'm getting something above and beyond what is normally there. And so, you know, I saw Robbie's work like years and years ago, and I was just like, oh, well, I instantly love this, and I'm going to remember it forever, and I'm going to just keep following along, like through Instagram or Twitter or wherever, and just be looking forward to seeing new pieces from him, you know, for a long time. And so, you know, Robbie's work has been crossing my screens for a really, really long time. So it's really cool that like through like around the time where NFT started to bubble up, he and I got to spend a lot of time hanging out on Discords and getting to become buds and stuff. And yeah, it's really like, but that's sort of the magic of the world of art also, is that I found it a lot of artists tend to get to know each other. It's usually pretty easy to like, you know, meet and greet with other people who have the same set of interests as you. So, you know, it's a privilege to finally consider myself one of Robbie's friends, and I'm pushing it a little farther. But yeah, it's a privilege to be able to spend time in Robbie's aura. You know, so yeah. What was the question?
No, that was great.
I got too lost in looking over at his little thumbnail here.
Gazing over at Robbie. No, just your perspective on Robbie's work, on Infinite, and on Numinous in general.
That's pretty good.
It's decent. It's decent. As Nifty Gateway misspelt it. I think they meant to spell it Descent.
Yeah, it was decent. I don't think it's going to make your collection. I mean, I don't think it's going to make your collection less valuable.
It's decent. That's good.
Yeah.
That's good enough.
Robbie, on that note, same question. Take a look over at Pete, Angelarium, Raziel. Where do you want to go with it?
Now you gotta go further than me. You have to compliment me harder than I complimented you.
I'm just gonna hang up now. All right. No, man. Like, let's see. I've been looking at Pete's work also for a long time. Like, I remember some of the first work I saw from you. It's funny enough, I was in 2012. I got hired to work on the Theros set, the Greek mythology set for Magic the Gathering. It was my first set ever. And in the style guide, I saw a bunch of like Tron-looking horses and like what else did I saw these like ghostly like people with like no faces and then like golden masks, right? They were called the Returned. And I saw this cool concept art. And it was all Pete's art, and I was like, well, this stuff's pretty dope. And then I found him on DeviantArt, and then I saw the Angelarium stuff, and I mean, pretty much since 2012, yeah, I've just been kind of like, right click save, like I'm into this stuff, and I even, funny enough, here's a funny thing about me and Pete. This is gonna make you laugh. Pete ran a Kickstarter for his Angelarium book, like what was this, 2016, I think?
5 years ago, yeah.
Yeah, I backed it. And I didn't really know Pete then, but I was really good friends with one of his really good friends, our mutual, Andrea Sipple, another awesome artist. And I used to, like, as the years went on, and this I never got my book. It's 5 years, and I still haven't got my book. Just like for real.
I'm looking at your order in the queue right now. I have it highlighted.
Yeah,
We're shipping it to like it's gonna get shipped to like today or tomorrow.
That's funny. So like for like years, I would just complain to Andre, be like, "This Pete guy, is he like gonna finish this fucking book? Like, when is this happening?" Like, I was just like, "What's up?" Like, really good art, but I'm getting sick of this. then like, you know, I finally like met him, and I like, I even told him, I was like, dude, I'm not gonna lie, I want my book, but like, I guess we could be friends. Like, so that we just our personalities clicked. But basically, it's a similar thing. It's like I've admired the work from a distance enough to even like want to like collect the physical books, and like here we are now working together on stuff in the space. Like, we've already done one collaborative piece that we haven't really found like a meaningful enough purpose to release yet. So
It's
we're holding on.
secret.
It's secret.
It's so exclusive. No one's even allowed to look at it.
Right. And like, we, you know, I might be bringing him into like my universe, like now, especially that I have this whole key thing going on. And, you know, similarly, there might be like some Angelarium thing with me. Who knows, right? The possibilities are infinite. Plug on my 101, infinite. But yeah, like, yeah, that's basically like NFTs is like where we really like began to like hang out constantly, and we're just, I mean, like I was telling you guys before Pete came on, we'll be in a chat like on voice with a bunch of people, and it's to the point that people are like, it's the same person talking, like you guys sound exactly the same, like who's speaking, like so many times. So yeah, I guess he's my other half. So
Yeah,
to speak. Like,
yeah.
Married and not married. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, it's funny about the book thing is like, I know that I know you apparently what Andrea told me is that you were shit talking me, saying that maybe I was a fiend of some sort, and she was standing up for her. She always stands up.
Yeah. She set me straight, and then I met you for real, and I was like, hey, I was wrong, and she. But
it also turned out you met me like months before the books were actually finally going to ship 5 years.
I've met you twice, and you didn't know it was me both times in person.
But yeah, it's not like you said your name or anything.
Well, I knew who you were, so I guess it meant more to
I was also
some
standing in a
others
booth with my name on it.
All right, fair enough. When you frame it like that.
But yeah, it's funny because the whole journey on that book thing, we've shipped 1,000 books over the last 4 days. I have a couple of friends coming in who came into town, and all of the pieces finally aligned on this thing, and we've shipped 1,000 of those, over 1,000 of those pre-orders in the last few days, and there's hundreds more going out today. Even though I'm taking the day off, I had prepped. All those books are signed, so I've been signing through like thousands of copies of books in the warehouse with no air conditioning for the last few days, like.
Pete did send me
to resolve this debt that Robbie has rightfully called me out on, and very soon I am no longer going to owe anyone any books for the first time in 5 years. Very excited.
You did send me a really cool Angelarium pin, though. I remember this. Yeah. Like last year, sometime, like around this time last year, you sent me a really cool pin. So
yeah, I heard you were feeling under the weather, so I figured I don't know how medicine works, but at least you'd have an enamel pin and still be in the hospital.
Yeah, that was a nice little thing before my life went a completely, like, I don't feel good. It's not quite a book, but a pin is nice. So
yeah.
Robbie, how does it feel to know you're not in the first 1,000 fulfilled orders of the book?
I mean, I waited this long. What's another?
The reason why
I've waited 5 years
is because Robbie gave me too much money. The books were fulfilled from the simplest orders to the most complicated, and Robbie was so generous with his pledge. He ended up on the back end of the campaign because he had purchased so much stuff from me.
Yeah, I went. This is really awesome, and I'm probably going to get it very soon. And then I threw down a lot of money, and 5 years went by, and here we are.
Oh man, Defaced Parrot, floor is yours.
All right. Is there any way I can get one of these books? You've hyped it up so much now. I feel like I'm 5 years too late.
It's a good question.
Yeah,
actually.
you DM me, Parrot. You own enough NFTs for me. I will get you some books, man. I'd say any of my NFT collectors want to DM me about this. They're hearing me right now.
I bought a piece from you on Hen. Do I get 2 books?
Actually, I was about to put a note here to add the other stuff that you didn't buy, because I was like, wait a minute, you gave me a good amount of money, but you could have given me more. So I'm gonna, as like a friend thing, I'm gonna send you some more stuff. But yeah, NFT collectors of mine, like I did an inventory in the books yesterday. I'm clear to be able to like ship out a few extras. So I'm gonna be making sure that some cool people get some.
You just might have pulled like an order 66 on your DMs, because like I'm imagining all these people who didn't buy anything, and you'd be like, I bought something from you. It's just like 100 messages, like, give me a book.
I
As
just
long
DM,
as-
We'll
I
see.
just
I
DM,
mean,
DM sent.
yeah. Roger's got a few additions from me.
Roger,
I need to get some addresses.
when was you've been collecting from Pete for a while now, right?
I think I have more. I think I have more Pete Moerbacher NFTs than any other artist in existence. I think
Like,
that's.
when
I think
was the
that's. I
first
think that's
one?
true. I think that's true.
I might too, actually.
Parrot, what was our first? Because we connected over it. You were a day ahead of me or the morning ahead of me. One of the two.
Yeah. So Giannis posted about it, saying like, "Hey, Peter Moerbacher has had these NFTs on Maker's Place since like 2018," and I was like, "What? That's crazy." Because Peter, I've been following your work for at least since 2018, probably before that. But I remember seeing your work and absolutely loving it, and probably top 10 favorite artists out there. So when I saw that your work was, on Maker's Place, this was before, the big NFT hype and all that. So I was
way before. I was like, I was happy to get like $75 per edition for a 1 of 10.
Yeah. So our buddy Giannis posted about it, and I was just like up at 4 a.m. when he posted about it. I was like, oh, no way. So then I can't remember if I DM'd Roger or if Roger saw it and then we started DMing, but we were like both commenting on that post. And I was like, Roger, like, check this out. You should definitely buy this.
That was November?
November
of 20?
Yeah, November 2020. So
yeah.
We just went in there and bought some and then started talking about it, being like, oh, what a great find. I just started bidding on, because you and Giannis had gotten like the #1 editions that were left, because at the time there were a whole bunch of editions just archived and marooned on Maker's Place. Accidentally, by the way. I just chose my favorite 2, and they both happened to be like first editions.
Which is it's what an incredible stroke of luck. I went in there and I bid on every single #1 edition that was not you and Giannis, just trying to like uproot them because they were from years. Like I figured, oh, maybe someone's moved on with their life. Like, they bought it in 2018, and actually one person, I possess one #1 edition of someone who decided they didn't want it anymore.
Suck.
Or maybe it was just a good enough deal, but maybe I offered enough that they were like, all right, fine. Here you go. Defaced, what's on your mind, man? I feel like we got to get you in here.
Oh man, I've just been hyped about Fiwo's drop. Really, I'm just fucking last past couple of days, man. Seeing all the fucking interview. I've just been watching all his interviews he's put out on NFT now. I watched your one Parrot yesterday. That was fucking beautiful. I don't know how else to describe it. It's just fucking. Like I couldn't think of anyone more deserving than Victor at the moment. Like to be in the position he's in. Like it's insane, man. And I'm just really excited to see it. I think it's done really well. Like, the mechanics are quite interesting. They're not fucking just boring. They're like got something back beneath them, and like the amount of stuff you get out of it. And even Victor coming to see the collector and drop off the trunk, I think that's cool as fuck. And all the custom trunks and just all that stuff has been on my mind really, and I think a lot about that. And that's the main thing I take away. And you see Sean Williams on Nifty Gateway, and that's fucking crazy, man. And he's done so well for himself as well, and just seeing like actual artists from the community who have like sort of been born through the community get onto Nifty Gateway. I think that's a big difference. I'm not sure if Nifty are going to consciously move that way, but that's cool to see. And he's had something else come up with Complex, which was really cool. And there are a few things that I've been excited by this week.
I saw that NFT Now interview with Fuo, and it was like I watched it twice, man. I was like, that's a good interview. That was a good interview. Like, damn, right in the feels.
I know. Those are the boys. I was down in Miami when we were all getting together.
I saw the RD. I saw your episode too. Like, same guys, like the same room and everything where you guys recorded. It was cool. I really like NFT Now's content. It doesn't like they've done a ton of like interviews, but they're starting to. I assume I'm guessing they interviewed a lot of people down in Miami. That's my guess.
It was one mega day. We went in and there was like a calendar on the wall, and it was like six names or 6, 7, 8 names just like straight down the line. They put in a big day that day.
Well, I can't wait to see all the content.
And Pete, next time in Florida, I'm visiting. I don't care what I have to do. I'll drive hours.
This is what you guys need to do. When I'm in Miami working with Deadmau5 on our thing, the day of the Deadmau5, just come down to Miami. Like Pete's in Sarasota. That's that's probably a decent distance, but it's closer than Seattle.
It's a couple hours, I think.
Yeah. It's the last 3 days of October. Like okay. I think it ends for Halloween. Like that's like the big thing. But it's a 3-day show, and I'm going to be working with me and Joel are going to be doing like a collaboration. We're going to be like releasing a bunch of art. Like I have to cover that helmet with like art somehow. I don't know what I'm going to draw on it, but it's something. And we'll be releasing some NFTs. We'll be releasing like clothing, physical art prints, And we're going to be doing this thing called a pop-up shop, which happens before every actual show that he DJs, where it's like a 6-hour meet and greet thing, and we just hang out. And I convinced him to like set up a projector and like a Wacom Cintiq, and I'm like, I'm just going to demo and blow a bunch of like non-art people's minds. Like when the Muggles see, it won't even be good art probably. They'll just be like, yeah, this isn't the best thing I've drawn, and they'll be like, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen. So we're going to be putting on a show for people, and it'll be 3 days long. So you guys should definitely come hang out. Maybe you'll hang out with Joel backstage or something too. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen, but I've never been to Miami, so it'll be cool. Should be cool.
Yeah, it'll be fun. Okay, here's the plan. Miami Halloween, and then you have to come up with us to New York because there's an NFT convention, I think first week of November in New York.
Oh, is that the NFT New York thing that everyone's talking about?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean that seems like the logical thing to do. Like I was
it's only logical that we go there for sure. As a matter of logic and reason, I think we're sort of obligated. From an empirical perspective, I think it's
all the data,
it's important we do it.
Data says yes.
Yeah, all the data is going that direction for sure.
No, so what that would be is it would be like the NFT November thing. And then like right after that, like a day after, right, would be like an artifacts thing, or like is artifacts happening? What are we? Oh.
We're looking at it, man. You could break some. That's all right. We could for anyone.
I don't know. Am I totally like ruining everything right now? Like
no. You're not ruining it at all. Just just passing privileged, very secretive information to Robbie Trevino and
friend DA. It's a friend DA.
In Twitter DMs and
Okay.
We'll just do a big triangle: Seattle, Miami, New York, Seattle.
Cool.
Yeah,
that works for me, man.
and Pete, it's logical and also very rational that you have to follow that same trajectory over to Seattle before you go back down to Florida.
I mean the math works out. It's geometrically perfect.
We also need to talk about our seed phrases now. So mine is
has anyone gotten that message, by the way? I saw I think it was Exulo who posted today. He was the latest on the attempted hit list of that Dimitri or whatever bot or
crazy.
Dude, I gotta call out one guy. There's so many of these scams, but there's a guy that has so far 3, potentially 4 like burner accounts. And the first person he reached out to me as was Mohammed Borhan.
Papa Muhammad.
Papa Muhammad, yeah. He was just like, collector of NFTs. His whole thing, he does this under at least 2 to 3 other accounts. And I see people screenshotting all the time and they share it. And I'm like, it's the same person. And we all talk about it. I believe he's actually named Mike from Kenya. I'm totally putting this guy on blast, and I hope he sees this because, like, I don't want anyone to get scammed by this guy. But this Mohammed Borhan, what he does is he'll ask you, hey, he'll talk to you for a couple weeks, butter you up, say he really likes your work, and then at a certain point, hey, I'm gonna bid on one of your pieces, right? And he was talking to me about it, and it was like, it was like a 30 ETH piece, right? And like, he's like, but listen, before I do, right, I just need like 0.02 Ethereum just to like pay for gas. And I'm like, so you got like 30 ETH to spend, but you just need like 0.02 till what? And I was like, this might be a scam. And then like other people are like, should I send? And I'm like, no, like everyone stop. Like, no, the collectors would never ask. You don't pay for someone to pay for your artwork like that. Just like logically and empirically, right? Like, because now we're back to this, like, it doesn't make any sense, right? So like there's all kinds of scams going on. And I think maybe that's one of the risks of the transparency of the blockchain, right? You can just look up anyone and see, oh, they're sitting on money, like hypothetically, according to this math. And I think one of the saddest things that I read from this, it's sad that people steal from each other. It's disgusting. But what's really sad is there will be people that they'll make these posts where it's like, I got scammed, and then insert the person that I mentioned under whatever alias. And it's so sad because it'll be like a smaller artist, right? They haven't really had many sales or any sales. And it's worse hearing the part where they go, I know, like I got some money taken from me and that sucks. But I really thought someone finally wanted to buy my art. That's where I'm like, oh my God, that's so much worse. It's like, it's tragic. So yeah, dude, fuck scammers. I guess that's all I'm saying.
Mike from Kenya, Papa Muhammad, whatever your name is, you're officially on blast.
Yeah, yeah. Unacceptable, sir. You should be ashamed. Yeah.
It's horrible. It's like, anywhere that there's an opportunity, anywhere that there's money of any kind, crypto or otherwise, it just happens. It's like, it's a story as old as time that goes back to the early days of email, like the Nigerian prince scam, that thing that was going around. It's like, then there's the scams at old folks' homes where it's like your grandson was in a car wreck and he's going to have this on his permanent record unless you wire $3,000 to the police station. Or, this stuff just happens. It's a shame.
Dude,
years ago when I first went indie, I was one mouse click away from
this.
What was it?
Oh, so the scam. So I had just started to sell a lot of artwork online. That became like my main income source. And I was getting all sorts of new opportunities rolling in my email all the time. And one of the things I was kind of hoping for was to do some more wholesaling, where instead of trying to do these onesie, twosie to sell to consumers, I would love to just sell a big pile of art to someone wholesale and then have them, sell it on to customers that they find. And so some guy comes to me and is like, I want to buy like 300 pieces from you, like 300 prints from you. And I was like, awesome. And he's like, do you have a price? I was like, yeah. And he's like, okay, great price. Here's how much I want of this one. Here's how much I want of this one. And so I like had the inventory. I pulled it all aside. And he's like, okay, great. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pay you for the art. Plus I'm going to pay you extra for the shipping. And then I want you to go and I don't really want to trust this much artwork with like UPS. So I've got this freight company I really like. So I want you to pay them to ship this stuff. And the whole trick is they claw back the PayPal payment, 100% of it. And you end up sending them $400 for shipping to a freight company that doesn't exist. And I remember just like going on the freight company's website, having all the info in there and just like hovering over the buy button and going like, I'm going to Google this really quick. And as soon as you start Googling it, it all starts falling apart. And I was like, okay. And I was like Facebook posting about it because that's how long ago this was. That I was, people were using Facebook. And like there was multiple people who were like, I got most of the way through giving this guy my money too. Like there's a couple of good ones out there. People get got all the time.
Dude, Pete and I received the same scam by email. It was that like invest. There was like so there's this like email.
A wealth manager, right?
Yeah. This company supposedly in the UK, right? You go to their website, right? They're this like. It's the most like nonsensical, a lot of words describing nothing description of a business where it's like you see a bunch of stock photography of like really nice like interiors of like offices, right, and like lots of properties and like establishing shots of like a bridge in the UK and like London, and it's very like it's all very like professional looking, right, and then like the description of services is like, we do professional things professionally, we are professionals.
Yeah.
And I'm already like
Worthingshire Capital or something like that.
And I'm like, what the fuck? Like this is kind of. So then like I see like the message, right, and it's this email from someone saying like basically, hey, we're this like we're professionals that do things professionally, blah blah blah, whatever, right? Yeah. And we have a wealthy Ukrainian client who wants to invest in NFTs. Here's the budget. And they said something between, I don't know, like 50K to like 500K. It was some big numbers, right? Stuff that's very enticing. They tell you, hey, listen, you know, could we set up like a phone call with you to discuss this? And already I'm like, why don't we just, you know, like, why don't we do like emails? Why does it have to be through phone? So already I'm like, I've heard of like SIM swapping and stuff. So I'm like, let's just keep it to like emails, and maybe like we could do like a Google call or something, right? But we keep it to emails, and basically they tell me, you know, like, hey, they're interested in your work. We found you through OpenSea, you know, and we really, you know, potentially we could commission you. We could purchase pre-existing art. But either way, you know, could you present some pieces that are available? So I basically just link them to my art station, and I show them a bunch of stuff that hasn't been minted yet. And then I show them some of my super rare stuff, you know, like stuff that's available. And I'm like, here's the stuff, right? I get a message the next day, right? They're saying like, oh, this is awesome. The client really wants to like proceed with the commission. And I'm like, okay. And they're like, yeah. When can you fly out to the UK to discuss this? And I'm like, you want me to like go to a foreign country in the middle of a pandemic to discuss maybe doing art for you? So I'm just like, why don't we do like a Google chat? And they're like, sorry, the client, you know, it's very secretive information. The client only wants to meet face to face. And I'm like, all right, this is going to end one of two ways. Either one, this is like Liam Neeson's Taken movies where I get sex trafficked, right? They kidnap me or something, or it's like it'll be something a little bit more sophisticated, like, oh, we'll pay for your flight, just pay us ahead of time. You know, it'll be something. Just the whole thing.
Nah, you know, what I figured it was like they were trying to get my phone. They got my phone number because I'm smooth brained and I didn't see through it until after I responded to the first email. But whenever I've had somebody pay for me to fly out places, they're like, oh, can you send us a scan of your passport or something? Because they need a bunch of info for the flyer stuff.
We just
with
legit
phrase. Companies, yeah, you just send us your seed phrase and we'll
social number, you know, all that.
But like, I'm pretty sure that they would have asked you. They'd be like, okay, we're gonna book the tickets, we're gonna get you first class, but we need about all your flyer information. You would have been giving them your social security number and shit, and that would have been the end of it.
I just so many red flags. The whole like, oh yeah, so when are you gonna come here to another country? And I'm like, what? Holy shit, this is like falling apart real fast. The whole thing was just like, as soon as I saw the stock photography and just a little bit of Googling, right? All you have to do is Google a couple of addresses. Next thing you know, you're finding like abandoned parking lots, and you're like, all right. Someone's getting stabbed or something. I'm not even gonna touch
this. Reminds me of when I was flown out to Israel for a gig, like I think it must have been like 4 or 5 years ago, there was a game company that was based out of Israel. They want to fly me out to do a concept push, sort of like the Magic the Gathering concept pushes, but like, you know, the startup company out there in Tel Aviv. And so we set it all up and everything. And what was especially weird, it was on the back end. I was already going to Valencia to sign Magic cards. Like I was going to a Magic tournament in Valencia. So I was already booked to go out to Spain. So I was like most of the way there. So they're like, we'll just get you in on the back end of this. And so the airport security for the Israeli airport is like super tight. And they see I'm like the only American on the flight coming in to this. And I'm flying from, you know, Spain to Israel. And I'm super conspicuous. I'm wearing like a brightly colored skater hoodie. And like, I have a suitcase full of dirty clothes. And they're like, so, you know, are you religious? And I was like, nah. And they're like, so do you live there? They're like, I'm like, nah. I'm like, are you tourists? I'm like, nah. And they're like, you know, so like, why are you coming in through Spain? Like, how long have you been? Oh, I've been here for a couple weeks already. I was signing autographs. And like, they're like, we can't tell if this dude's for real. We do not, like, none of this. It's like, kind of looks like red flags. And they're like, so do you know the people that are flying you out? Do you know the people that bought a ticket? I'm like, yeah, I mean, I've Skyped with them or whatever. You know, and it's like, and they're like pretty sure I'm getting sex trafficked. I'm like, and I just remember they were like aghast that like I was just gonna like have some weirdo from the internet like buy me plane tickets. And I was gonna fly halfway across the world, like totally unprepared, not knowing the answer to any of the security questions or whatever. I was just like, And they're like, so were you traveling with him? Yeah, I was traveling with my wife, but she's headed back to the U.S. She's in another terminal. I'm out here by myself with a suitcase full of dirty clothes and a bunch of art equipment that you don't know how to recognize. Like I had like a drawing tablet with me, and they're like, what does this electronic device do? And I was like, oh, it makes artwork. It's really cool. They're like, they ran it. They like took me to like a separate part of the airport so they could run it through like giant machines apart from everybody else. Like they got to see what the inside of a Wacom tablet looks like, really in high fidelity, I guess. But yeah,
dude, like it's frustrating that any of this happens at all. But like, okay, I'll take like the fuck render thing for instance. We all saw it, you know. I've been seeing like not that specific scam, but like all these small artists, you know. I've been talking to all of them, you know, like about all this, right? And like I've like retweeted some of their stories to help get them more visibility. I've done everything apart from literally just going to some big collector, like, I don't know, 888 or someone who will call people out publicly to get attention, right? I did everything but that. And it feels like it took someone like Fuckrender, like a higher profile figure, you know, to like really shine some light on that. But it happened, unfortunately. But the silver lining is for a good couple of days, everyone kind of in the space focused on like everyone. Here's just a quick PSA on security, you know, just some quick rules, the do's and don'ts, you know. And I mean, hopefully a lot of people, like if they weren't taking the proper precautions, they now are because of it. Again, it sucks that it happened. I mean, I suppose in Fuckrender's case, like if someone could take that kind of hit, not that he should have, but like maybe, you know, I don't know. I'm trying to find a silver lining in that. And I think it was like raising awareness, you know what I mean? Like, because that's what it took to start a conversation about this, because it's like these thefts happen all the time, but no one ever, it doesn't seem like collectively the space is as aware of it as it should be until it happens to someone with like more status, right? But now that it has, it seems like there's a little bit more awareness of it, because I'm seeing people.
I want to tell my Israel story because it's just like, you know.
I'm so thankful we were back there because I've just been wondering this entire time. By the way, kudos to Fuckrender. It made a huge difference. I agree. It took someone of a certain status and transparency to like really push that narrative and get some solutions. But all this whole time in the back of my mind, I'm like, it was Pete okay in Israel.
Oh yeah, no, it was awesome. It was an awesome trip. It was exactly what I thought it was supposed to be. It was like I got flown out. I worked with a really cool concept team. We worked really hard on some mobile game that ended up going nowhere because everyone was making mobile games back then that went nowhere. But my hosts were awesome. I got to tour through Jerusalem, Tel Aviv. I spent like 3 weeks living in Tel Aviv. It was a really cool trip. But like
you got to have the dopest hummus too, right?
Oh yeah, no, I got the dankest hummus in the world, and
man.
And it was and I got my other friend Sean Andrew Murray a gig out there, and he came out and we hung out down there. And you know, my point of the story is like weird. You get like if you're like paying attention as an artist, you get weird emails all the time that are absolutely legit. Like how am I like one of the only people that was on Maker's Place in 2018? Everybody got an email from them back then. Like when there was a big rush to try to get on platforms, everyone was asking me like, how did you get on Maker's Place? Like I'm trying to get in there. And I was like, I answered their email in 2018 back when you all got the same spam message. And everybody else tuned it out because they thought it looked weird, and they turned it down. The same thing with like, you know, there's so many as an artist, like weird stuff happens, like legitimate offers that are super strange come through all the time, and you need to be discerning. Like you have to be careful, but you can't say no to everything that you don't recognize. Like you have to like be open-minded while also being critical. And there's like a really strong balance of it that I think is really important.
Do you remember, did you ever get Applebot emails in like 2012? Do you remember Applebot?
Yeah, I did some work for Applebot. Sure.
Yeah, me too.
Everyone was like, are they real? Are they real? I was also one of the first people in that because I was like, I say yes to weird shit.
This is the exact same thing we're talking about. In 2012, back when like kind of like the pinnacle of like tabletop RPGs that you could get paid for was Magic the Gathering work. A Japanese company, Applebot, was coming out with like a mobile game, basically taking the exact same kind of artwork that you would do, you know, for like Magic the Gathering or something, but the rates were like double and like even more than that, right? It was like a huge, for about a year there was this little bubble.
People were negotiating crazy rates.
Yeah, like I was hearing really large, and like for me, I got like probably paid like 3 times what I would to work on Magic stuff. And like But I was one of the people like you who saw that weird email and was like, it's probably not a scam, and just went for it. When people began to like make money with Applebot is when everyone was like, wait, like that was a real thing. And then there was like a mad bubble rush to just like work for Applebot.
Everyone's like, oh, how do I get introduced? It's like they tried to email you months ago. Like you have to like read through all your spam and pay attention to the offers that are coming in. 99% of them are probably either scams or trash or confused people. And then there's 1% that are just like really legit. Like I always pay attention to people cold call me. I don't say yes to most of the stuff that comes in. I feel like I'm actually infamous for saying no to everything, but I read it all. But there's some weird, cool gems in there. You know
what doesn't help though? Like I'll use Applebot again as an example. They have so many, because of like how it's a Japanese company, but they had like French, Chinese, Bulgarian. They had all kinds of art directors, right? Because they were just trying to reach as many artists throughout different parts of the world as they could. The producer that contacted me initially was Chinese and used one of the worst Google translators ever. I was reading this thing and it looked like I was reading like a ransom note. I was like, is this like a business proposition or am I being held hostage? It was like, like, will you cooperate? Answer now. And I was just like, what the fuck? And then I talked to some people and they're like, oh, that's just so-and-so. Their English isn't very good. Don't worry, it's a real thing. And then I reread it, but I was like, man, on its face, you can just get an email like that and it's like, oh, this is definitely what is this? Like, throw it away. But I'm glad I didn't, because I ended up making a lot of money and it was a really cool opportunity from it. But it's hard to tell the difference. You got to do just a little bit of Google foo usually, or just asking around.
How about the too much lag story? He told this on the That's Nifty podcast. He told the story about Will Smith's management reaching out to him. And he was like, well, this is a scam. Like, nope. Actually, they used the like client, my client, and they didn't lead with the name or whatever. And then then like a month passed and they reached back out to lag. And I think there was even another step where he was like, all right, fine. Who's the client? And they're like, Will Smith. He's like, whatever, and then finally it turned out that it was totally legit and they ended up doing the thing. There
was 2 jobs that I got like that. Also, like one of them I did, it was doing those posters for Tool. I was going to do 4 for them, but COVID ruined everything. So like 2019, I got to do two of them. But Adam Jones, like not Tool Management, Adam Jones like DM'd me on Twitter. It was like, hey man, and I'm like these bots, like this is a robot or something. And I didn't respond to his first message, but then he bumped it again and he's like, hey, like big fan. And I'm like, wait, is this like really like Adam Jones from Tool? And I was like, oh shit, it is. And then I was like, we started talking and then Tool Management got in contact with me and I was like, oh, this is real. The other one that I didn't follow through with because it didn't line up, but it seemed really sketchy, but it actually turned out to be real, was Smashing Pumpkins being like, we're releasing a graphic novel with our new album. Do you want to do the graphic novel? It didn't line up, but like, again, if Will Smith came to me or whatever and was like, what's up, Robbie? I'd be like, okay, all right, like get the fuck out of here. But like, I would have had the too much lag reaction. I would have been like, this cannot be real, but it was real. Like, it's just crazy. I don't know. That's funny.
Parrot or Defaced, any either scam or legit, but you thought initially it had to be wrong or not, or a scam outright. Either of those circumstances.
Well, I know a lot of people missed out on Nifty Gateway because Nifty Gateway tried to email and contact a bunch of artists, and everyone had the same reaction, like, oh, this is a scam, or they ignored it. And then everyone come February was like, wait, how'd you get Nifty Gateway? So, I've heard that story trope a few times with NFTs, just like that. I don't know. I got the same email from that like UK wealth management company.
Oh, you too.
But I ignored it because Jonathan Wolf got it too, and I was like sent in our little group chat. I'm like, does this look like a scam? He's like, I just got the same exact email, and I was like, probably a scam.
Yep.
Yeah, my weirdest one I got was from Apple. I was like, oh, this is bullshit. I was like, I think it was last year in the summer. So I was like, I didn't have many followers on Instagram. I didn't have much presence, and I had a fucking massive like brief from Apple. Like, I would love to work with you on this Apple App Store thing. I was like, oh, this is bullshit. There's no fucking way. And I think like the title of the person's like art like manager. It's like some weird. I don't. It wasn't art manager, but it's like art curator or something. I was like, why the fuck would Apple have an art curator? I thought that was just weird. So I sort of just started. I just used LinkedIn. I was like, who the fuck are these people? And just started putting them in LinkedIn. And I was like, oh yeah, this is fucking legit. But yeah, then LinkedIn's been the fucking cesspool of scam emails for me. It's just like Nigerian prince, fucking your brother's died, your granddad's in a car crash, just constant, just shit really, and money, just shit come through with spam emails. And I get like a Quran thing now weekly, which I'm just used to it now. I'm expecting it, like bits from the Quran, like, okay, yeah, I missed you. So yeah, it's just, I think, but yeah, I definitely agree. You got to be discerning as an artist because you don't know what the fuck is around the corner, especially with social media. It's so fucking random. Like, just especially now in the NFT climate, it just seems like everything's just dialed up, just like crazy. Like it's probably a bit crazy a couple months ago when the fucking Weekend was dropping NFTs and just celebrities just fucking DMing everyone. It's just fucking crazy. But I think, yeah, you just got to be discerning and just work your way through it and use your instinct. Or like, there's some collectors as well. The thing sometimes that people struggle with is if they're anonymous and like they'll like join in like March or something, and they've got a big following, but it's like, is that following legit or is that just from shield tweets? Then you've got sort of, it's worth even DMing like another collector, like, hey, do you know this person through Discord or anything? And before you go forward, because like they can look legit, like especially if they're like tweeting out advice and you're like, yeah, I don't disagree with that, and the people following them are legit. And like check if there's like any people who you like trust who are following them. Like if RD doesn't follow them, or like some big collectors, I'm like, I'm not 100% on this guy, so I might take a bit of precaution with them and ask to get on a call or something. But yeah, that's probably it really.
I given the PSA on here a while back, Parrot. You remember it when the moment I got scammed? Like,
on OpenSea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What happened?
So it was there was a moment in time. They may still be doing this all the time, but there was a moment in time where some really savvy scammers. And this is the concerning part, because some scams can actually be pretty, believable. And so what they were doing is there was a big pack drop on Nifty Gateway for Monster Cat. And they do then those constellations, right? So they're like 50-cent pack drops, but then the rare ones were like, trading for hundreds or thousands of dollars. And so I had gone over to OpenSea. This is still at the time where you had these bots on Nifty Gateway that would buy stuff and then immediately ship it over to OpenSea, sell it there for the less fees. And so, if you're a collector and you're like, maybe I'll follow this bot over here because they want to offload it anyway and try to pick it up. And so this scam was essentially, there were hundreds of these constellations in these packs. And the scam was they would create a duplicate, a literal carbon copy duplicate of every single constellation in the pack. And they had it so that it would take over either the order of operation or whatever structure they implemented. They were the first thing you'd see when you went to OpenSea, not the legit NFT. So it kind of pushed down the legit constellation NFTs. And if you're looking at it, it looked like, oh, there they all are. There are all the constellations. There are the ones of 5. There are the ones of 10, and on down the line. And even worse, I had this multi-step when I was like actively on both sites, this multi-step check process where it was like, all right, number one, ensure that it is not on Nifty anymore, meaning that someone had taken it off of Nifty. Because obviously if it's in both places, scam, right? It can't be in both places at once. So check one was that, and worked down my checklist. My last check was check the origination wallet. And it should always be, if you're transferring from Nifty Gateway, it should always be Nifty Gateway Omnibus was their origination account. So, I'm here, I'm in the heat of the moment, and there's a constellation. So I'm talking to I have some friends over there. I'm like talking to them about the drop, the constellation. I go over and I see there are these 2 out of 5s, and there's a piece on each, and it was like just at a reasonable enough discount price that it seemed like a bot who had transferred it over who wanted to offload it. And I was like, okay, price checks out. Look back on Nifty Gateway, not there anymore. Fabulous, we're in business. I went and clicked through and purchased it. And it was hilarious. I was like messaging Tommy Kimmelman. I like transfer my NFT over. It's not showing up in Nifty. I'm like, Tommy, something's up. Like something's up on your side, guys. Like, my NFT is stuck in transit. And anyway, moral of the story was, no, bro, you fell for a scam. And so what they were doing was they were looking for a collector who legitimately transferred their NFT. And as soon as that happened, they were listing it on OpenSea. So they were kind of like going through your checklist with you and being like, oh, Bob transfers it to his wallet anyway because he doesn't want it on Nifty or like for whatever reason. And as soon as Bob goes and does that, I'm going to take the same carbon copy scam NFT and now list that for a half ETH or an ETH or like whatever it is. So it hit my first checklist steps, but for the first and last time, in the heat of the moment, skipped my last step, which was the origination wallet, which obviously if I had taken that step, it was not Nifty Gateway Omnibus. It was some like random wallet or a misspelling of Nifty Gateway Omnibus or something ridiculous.
Man, I remember back when I was working on the first issue of the Punks comic with the team. We were like, I was in the middle of making breakfast, right? And one of my teammates messages me, and I talk to this guy in DMs very regularly. Okay, keep in mind this is through Discord. This is a private message between us through Discord. But like Pixel Vault, the collective that created the Punks comic, they have their own sort of community Discord, and like a lot of the team is very active in there. It's a very tight community. Everybody knows everybody kind of thing. And it's not a super private Discord. Like it's very open to people. And so I'm talking to my teammate, right? And like, I know like he's not the mastermind beanie behind all this, right? He's not like the big whale. He's more like kind of like the businessman and sort of like the, like we all work together, but he's sort of like the face of the business too. And like me and him were talking a lot, and it gets to a point where he basically is like, we're talking for a while, and he tells me like, yeah, I just I'm working on this thing. Can you spot me some ETH? And I'm like, all right. So I spot him 1 ETH, and he's like, thanks, man. And then he's like, wait, can you give me a little more? And I was like, okay, I don't think I should have done that. And then I get a message from the real teammate. It's a PSA to the whole team, and he goes, hey, listen, there's someone going around pretending to be me, and they're doing a really good job of it, which means they've been like talking. They've been like in all of our conversations as a community, getting to learn our mannerisms, all of it. And like, basically they already got 2 other people. And I was like, they got me too, like just now. Like I was making breakfast. I don't know. I wasn't really paying attention. I was like multitasking, and I thought I was helping out the comic. And he's like, dude, yeah, no, that wasn't me. And I was like, fuck, you're like impersonating like teammates and doing a really good job of it. Same avatar, same Discord name, everything, right? Same mannerisms. Like, you can kind of tell like if someone, you can just kind of tell. Like I couldn't, and maybe I could have if I wasn't split attention wise. But yeah, man, that's like the one time I got like ripped off. And it is what it is. I'm much smarter now, but like, oh my God, dude, like it's everywhere, man.
Shout out, by the way, in community to J Ram, says the jigsaw of NFT scams. So it's true. That's a next level one.
There has been like, oh man, I feel like this has been like the scam like podcast. Like we've just been
bringing that. Were there actual topics you wanted to go over?
Guys, so just in case you weren't aware, just the way Parrot and I roll on origin stories of Defaced, Pete and Robbie, just before we go off air, just transfer us an ETH, and that's how we end origin stories.
Yeah. I got to bounce in just a minute, so I'm gonna hit that over to you right now.
Do you want my seed phrase too, or like?
Oh yeah, just DM that over. And
I can mail you my hardware wallet if you want.
Pete, I know you got to go. You've been very generous with your time on a family day. Any last words? Raziel, Angel of Mystery, 7 p.m. Eastern, by the way, 1 of 1, as well as.
Go ahead. If you're thinking about buying it, just hit that button. You won't regret it.
Nice.
It's one of the most key pieces in my entire portfolio. I have entrusted it to Artifacts because I believe in Artifacts, and this is such a cool project, and I'm hoping that somebody out there's got their eye on it. I'm sure there's a couple people that have their eye on it, and I want to speak to them directly. Go ahead and buy it. Just buy it so that the other people who are eyeballing it don't get it, because then you have it. All right, that's my main message to them.
That is logical. That is rational.
Yeah, you'll have
based
it
on empirical evidence. It's
it's just math, really. Like it's a 1 of 1 that's going up tonight, right?
Yep.
7 p.m.
Yep.
So 1 of 1, which means that if you have it, nobody else has it, which is fucking sick. Like, totally do that. That's my bit of wisdom for tonight. Thank you for having me.
Of course, Pete.
All
Thank
right.
you so much, man.
All right, it's great seeing you guys. I'll see you around.
Thanks for joining us, man.
Bye.
Buy my shit.
Robbie, how about you, man? What would you like to add on the numinous?
So, like, what's cooler, a cooler NFT than that NFT is the numinous, the infinite 1 of 1. Just saying, like, you should get that one instead. Like, or you can get both, but if you had to only get one, go with that one. Just an idea. No. Sorry, what was the question?
That was it.
Numinous?
Yeah, numinous, like anything basically on infinite front, on numinous front, on the Robbie front.
Well, I mean, more recently, right? So, like, for those who don't know, Numinous, it's this like 5-year-old book project. It's more like a multimedia project at this point, but like it started out as a book project. Dropped one of Nifty Gateway back in April. It was all about that. There's a return drop July 8th that will also be all about continuing that story. Independently from all of that, I recently launched something called the Numinous Key, which is sort of like it's a cool piece of art. Features music from the guy Aether Audio. Shout out to Aether, my good buddy Jason Taylor. He's scoring the entire second drop on July 8th for Nifty Gateway, but this key features his music, and it's literally a key. It has my protagonist character, the Traveler, and it's sort of this keyhole, other dimension with, like a key, this ethereal numinous key, almost like a giant floating monument. It's an interesting piece of art, but more importantly, it's like a form of membership that has utility. It's an NFT that, as long as you hold it, similar to like Swolfchan's Mitsuki key or like Amir's skull, the NFT guild skull. It's a membership token. You hold it, and as long as you hold it, you'll have exclusive access to 2 drops and potentially airdrop material, content, whether it's like physical giveaways, prints, raffles, whatever we do, independent, separate from Nifty Gateway, from Super Rare, right? Like it's all sort of hosted through a Discord channel that I have called Numinous Universe, and the collection itself, the key exists in, is also called Numinous Universe, and that's on OpenSea. And yeah, like basically, I just seeing how other people are growing their communities in a sort of decentralized, independent way from other platforms, right? I've come to realize, like, creating basically that mailing list of people that will follow your project, and you can grow with them in your own way, at your own speed, at your own discretion. I decided to basically create this community through Discord, and I wanted to have some kind of proof of membership, something that you could hold on to that was not only like a cool piece of art that you could hold and keep, but actually had a functioning utility to it. And I think I know I'm trying to create accessibility for a lot of people that might not have it to some of my work, because definitely like certain price points, like the 1 of 1 price points for me are like a little out of some people's hands. Even limited edition stuff that goes on Nifty that's more accessible might still not be accessible to some collectors. And I know a lot of people, they'd like to own some of my art. And while I haven't made the jump to something like Hicketnook yet, or Hen, I collect on there, but I haven't minted on there. I'm still trying to think of interesting and creative ways to make my artwork available to people. And I figured, why not do it like in a sort of communal sense with the community by building something, like having like a fun token that you could own, and just build a community from there. So yeah, accessibility, utility, and just fun. Like, I don't know, building something with a community. What does that look like, right? Well, we can hold raffles and drawings like with bots through Discord. It's like, what if there was a way to like grab community members, actual key holders, and like, I don't know, create maybe a raffle where we select a handful of winners, and then I put their avatars like into the actual piece of art, similar to what Ness did with his Bored Apes piece recently. Like, imagine the Traveler, my protagonist character Numinous. Imagine they stumble upon a cave, but instead of a bunch of ancient tribal drawings, like stick figures, it's like all these ancient, engravings of like people, all the people who won the raffle. It's their avatars, like carved into stone, right? Like, I can put people into this project like in a meaningful and fun way. That's just one idea of many. I mean, there's a bunch of things we can do, but I figure I want to incentivize people to invest themselves in this project in some interesting way. And like we can gamify it. We can make a fun, interesting thing out of it. And like, who says we have to wait for like specific scheduled drops from certain platforms? Let's just do it ourselves. Let's just grow it our own way, at our own pace. So that's where I'm at with Numinous. So like I said, there's the return drop, and I'm trying to figure out a way to tie that into Nifty, to Nifty into this OpenSea thing. But I know it's a little, logistics might be a little hard there. Either way, there's going to be stuff existing outside of those platforms and those drops. But if you just want to hang out and be part of this Discord community, you're always welcome to. You don't have to hold a key to join. It's just, there will be exclusive things for those key holders. So, yep.
Very
Love
cool.
it, man.
Yeah, you grabbed one, right, RD? Or did you not grab one? Sorry.
I have the screen up now. No, I got you. I told you I will have a key.
Oh, all right.
So by the way, so first of all, we got you that shout on Bloomberg Radio this week.
Yeah, thank you so much. That's always awesome. That's so cool. Thank you.
That was a lot of fun. I love, by the way, there was a moment where the host ran with the Tool music side of things, or he's just like, oh, that dude does all this art, and it just went all in on Robbie, which was fun. I misspoke though. I said Tool covers, but it's okay.
Oh, I think he like, I don't know. Listening to that conversation was interesting. I'm really glad that it happened, and you managed to pack a lot in just 7 minutes. Like that was like elevator pitch stuff. That was great. Clearly, you've talked about NFTs before, sir. But I could tell by the questions. I was like, man, like people really don't understand this still. Like they just don't. Like we're so early to this thing. Like they really. But what does it do? I don't get it. It's a JPEG. It's like, man, he didn't. That's not exactly what he said, but like that was the overall vibe. Was like, people like if you walked up to anyone on the street, 9 times out of 10 they're going to be like, what is that? And if you explain it, there's a very good chance they're going to go, that makes no sense to me. I don't understand. So
I'm taking a piece of my brain right now over the course of these appearances, right? Plan to do more. And what I'm focused on right now is really extending this NFT dialogue into that crowd of people who will ask the third question. They'll be like, wait, what's an NFT? And then like, no, like really, like what's an NFT? And then the third line is like, no, I don't get it. Like, and so what I'm doing is I'm essentially like stripping out all of the, because we could sit here and we can jam like multiple layers deep, but I'm stripping it all out. And I'm going through this formative process of being like, all right, how can I most effectively get across the core point and then expand from there? But I'm working on right now, like as I'm getting these appearances across these networks, it's like, what's going to land and have that aha moment in people's minds? And what I'm learning matters more than anything else are stories and examples. And so like I told on Bloomberg, I told the Bill Ellis story about his experience with Nike and LeBron when they had asked, the power of NFTs, right? When Nike comes to Bill Ellis for his artwork, they find him on Instagram and they're like, hey, can you do this artwork for this LeBron James project? And he's like, yes, but he's working for an ad agency. And the ad agency's like, well, you're under contract with us and we've worked with Nike before, so it's ours. So you got the hit, you're going to do all the work, but the $65,000 contract, you're going to get paid $400 for it. And like, that's the story. Like, that's the story. That's the click. That's like, what are NFTs? They're a way that when someone reaches out to a Bill Ellis or a Robbie Trevino or Defaced or Paradism directly, based on your strength of concept, the work that you've put in on, let's say, an Instagram to build this community, an NFT is a way that you have that direct connection, and not only with a Nike, but with a collector, right? Where a collector sees your work and they're like, that post that you put all these hours into from June 27th, 2019, I'm in love with this artwork. Can we do something surrounding that? We have that form of digital ownership that makes that connection possible and makes a transaction possible. That's so fucking powerful. It's crazy to me. And so it's like, anyway, it's taking those stories and taking them out to folks who are like, they've heard it. They may think it's all hype. They may think there's nothing behind it. And it's delivering it in such a way where at least a half of an eye or an eyebrow raises. And they're like, oh, that's actually kind of interesting. Like if I can reach them in that manner, I think we have some expansion that we can do of the world that we live in right now.
I often like it's funny you say that. Like I often compare, like when someone goes like I don't like a lot of times someone will come to me with like the right click save argument, right? Like, well, I consume this already and I can do it for free. Why would I pay thousands? And it's like they're failing to understand like the proof of ownership for one thing, like as a concept, right? But like when I have these conversations, I usually bring up something like Instagram or Facebook, things that like deliver data and social media, you know, like images, right? Like digital content, right? Mm-hmm. And we could distill this down to like, it's not even the art that is driving posts, the posted art that's driving traffic and likes to a site. But let's just talk about like the user interface, right? Like the buttons that you're clicking on a site, right? You remove that, which is a form of art. Someone designed it with intent and you know, and thought. You remove that, it's a wall of code, right? Like we're consuming art for free for years. I think this goes back to like stock photography even, right? Like, you know, and like stock photography is basically what eliminated the need for like people to hire Norman Rockwell to do, you know, Saturday evening post illustrations, right? Mm-hmm. Like it's all art, but because it's consumed so regularly, because you see cars driving around every day, but you don't think of them as, you know, statues that roll that someone had to sculpt almost visually. Right. We don't see art for art. We just see it as like something that exists in our world, right? So when you tell someone, well, that thing you've been looking at for free, that digital art, right, on Instagram that you click like and don't even think about, right? You're just taking a shit on the toilet and liking stuff or whatever. Like someone did make that, and they're probably not getting paid anything for it. Like, but it has value, right? So, and yeah.
This is what I've wanted to do, and actually maybe you guys kick my ass and make sure I get this done. What I've wanted to do recently is, you know, like everything can be an NFT, everything can be ownership, right? That's clear. Everyone's going to explore every nook and cranny of everything. Physical items are going to be NFTs, digital items are going to be NFTs. Some of them will be not valuable at all. Like that will be deemed over time, and others will be kind of valuable, and some will be really, really valuable. The one that sticks out to me as a really good example is the YouTube Charlie Bit My Finger video, where you guys know, the recent NFT, right? It was made into an NFT. They said, we're going to take it off of YouTube when the transaction hits. It was sold for like $760,000. Here's the powerful thing for me. When everyone's clicking watch on Charlie Bit My Finger back in the day, that's a value transaction, right? This is my whole thing about hidden value transactions. Like some people don't realize that when they're clicking watch on Charlie Bit My Finger, there's literal money that is going to YouTube, mostly on behalf of their ad sales. However, also partially on behalf of making YouTube a platform. So a video that has one view has the 0.0001% of the YouTube pie because it's a piece of content that exists on YouTube network. Now, a video like Charlie Bit My Finger, which has almost 1 billion views, has actually an appreciable amount. Now, that appreciable amount could still be 0.001%, but that's still 0.001% of a gargantuanly valuable company. So you have the ad money, and you also have what they're literally contributing to the virality of the platform as a whole, the value of the platform as a whole. That's an incredibly valuable video. So what I've wanted to do is take some of the the data out there, some of the projections on what a click might be worth year over year. You can chart the value, the hidden value of Charlie Bit My Finger from the moment it was released to the day it was sold as an NFT. Now, if you do that, you probably find, this is my guess, this is I'm speculating, but I want to go through this exercise. You probably find that video was incredibly valuable over the lifespan of YouTube. That's my guess. Probably my guess is also it was worth well over the value of the NFT, right? That ended up being sold. So then it comes down to the mental gymnastics of, okay, now what does that mean going forward, right? Because that video is less viral today than it was when the almost 1 billion people watched it over the course of years and years. So how do you make that leap? Like, it's me thinking that through. It's like, there's clearly value here. Like, if all those people clicked it and all those people watched it and all those people contributed to clear ad revenue on behalf of YouTube, we are talking about dollars and cents. This is a valuable piece of media. What is it worth? Now we have to get into some speculation, make a few jumps, but we can get a range. Like, we can get a range. So people might be like, well, what, oh, it's just a video that was publicly available on YouTube. Doesn't mean it means a lot. And here's why. I want to go through that exercise because I think we can go through some of the same exercises with, let's say, like Defaced, for example. Defaced, do you know off the top of your head what the most viewed piece of art that you ever created on Instagram is?
Probably some fan art, I imagine.
But do you know, like, approximately, like, how many likes or how many?
Probably a couple thousand, maybe something like that.
So we could do the same thing with that. Like, we could do that with Instagram likes. We could do, if we had advanced metrics, we could do that with Instagram views, and then how many views became likes.
Yeah.
How many of those became comments? Like, you could start to really walk this through and show people, holy shit, like, we're talking about real money that's getting passed to companies on behalf of an artist posting an artwork for free and attempting to build community, because that's like what it is. It's a transaction based on that. Anyway, long-winded way of saying there's real value here. We can get closer than we may think to what that value is, and then we have to make assumptions on how that translates to an NFT.
Yeah,
That's a really cool way of looking about it.
yeah.
No, I like that. You're not going to get your ass kicked over that at all. No, that's fantastic, man.
But I feel like that's why it's one of the reasons why I'm here. I feel like I want to draw these connections and make them more apparent to people, because like the value proposition to me is crystal clear. It's like the day it hit me over the head was the day that I began shifting my entire life over to the NFT space. And like I fell in love with the digital art side. I wanted to tell that story, right? That's why I'm here, heart. Like, I'm here to do that, right? And now it's like me taking a step back, looking at the broader space, and it's like, yeah, how can we make that clearer to people? How can we tell that hidden value transaction story, and then that very real value transaction story of where we all are today?
Wait,
anyway,
so,
I'm gonna keep doing it.
I was going to ask you, RD. I'm just curious, like, if you can talk about this a little bit, like for me, all I do is spend my time on the web with other NFT people, like, and there's been a few people that I've talked to in my life, like personally, who aren't involved in the space. You know, we've talked about what I've done and stuff, you know, and they're mostly excited, you know, and just kind of like, wow, I didn't know, you know, it's been a positive reception. Like, I'm curious though, like, I'm sure you have people in your own personal life, right, who are completely outside of this. Like, what are their thoughts seeing you involve yourself so much with all this? Like, man, RD is like all in on this. Like, what's the takeaway there, if there is any?
It's so mixed, man.
Yeah.
It's so mixed. There are people who are like, I don't get it. Right? There are very clearly people in my life who, when they see the headline, the NFT market has crashed or NFTs are dead, they see that, like, those types of headlines. There are very clearly people in my life who are like, all right, cool. So, like, you're going to get back to, like, something real now? Like, you know, like, is it over? Like, is it over? Can you,
is it over? Is it over?
You know, so there's that segment. And then there's a segment of those who are, like, just supportive. And it's just like, I don't get it, but cool. Like, do you? You know, I'm here for it. It looks cool. Like, whatever. And then there are the people who are like, tell me more. And that's actually a decent chunk. It's like, maybe they don't fully get it, but they're like asking me questions. I saw this, tell me more. Typically now we start to stray into people in my life who have more of that like analytical background, like maybe open to cryptocurrency, which makes them naturally more open to the concept of an NFT. But they're in that like kind of medium, tell me more, and constantly progressing step over step. And then you have the people who like get it, and you know that from the non-NFT world, that's very few, but there are a few. They get it. They may not be all the way in it, but they're like, no, I understand that this is a thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think for me, like what I've noticed is like it's mostly a positive reception, but it comes more from the part of they see the sort of the more immediate financial success that I've had with some of this. And for someone who's been so like I've always like my mother and I both we've always lived paycheck to paycheck up until this point. And like I'm able to provide for both of us now this way. Like I think that's where people see in my personal life, they see the win there. They go, I don't understand this crypto stuff entirely, but I'm glad you finally have some kind of leg up on all this, because like you were always the kid in the group who like couldn't go on this trip because your mom didn't have the money, or like you had to like one time I remember I helped my mom out with I had to give her some money by like selling my GameCube like. For I think it was like an electrical bill or something. I can't remember what it was, but like I just like not like we weren't like impoverished, but like just like we weren't ahead financially either. And even now I never really been up until this point. And it's just I think like it's nice to know like even though they don't understand, like I'm glad you can finally catch some kind of break, man. And if it comes in the form of this crypto NFT thing, that's cool. And there are a few people who go, oh, I do actually see like the utility there, and that's fantastic, and that's cool too. I haven't really gotten anyone who's been like what? Like you just explain it a little bit, and for the most part they get it. So I don't know. It's been mostly positive as well. I think anything negative that comes through online, which I get a lot, I think one posturing will just always be different online than in person. But like, yeah, we're early in all of this, and
so early.
I kind of look at it as like. It's the past, right? And most people are still riding horses, and we're like the guys that are like, tell us about these automobiles. Like, what is this, And everyone's like, man, just stick with cars. It's the same thing I was saying when someone was talking about Blu-rays, and I was like, DVDs for life, bro. And before that, it was like, what's a DVD? VHS. Same thing with landlines, right? Everyone's like, what's a cell phone? Like, that's... Nah, man, that ain't gonna catch on. Or like, what's that meme that goes around? It's like a picture of like, internet is passing trend or something like that. You know what I'm talking about? Like, I think we're at that point right now.
You know what I realized? How do you guys feel about this? But I realized the other day, I feel like we're so in community, right? We can talk about like Decentraland and Somnium and Crypto Voxels and Sandbox and all this, but like, we are so early on the concept of digital worlds. And I feel like it's easy to get ahead of it, where it's like you see some of the impopulous movies or sci-fi concepts that have hit the mainstream and people vibe with or whatever. And then you're like, oh, cool, like Decentraland. Yeah, of course, we're going to spend time there. We're going to walk around and like hang out together. But when you look at what those worlds are today and what they will be, I think I'm pretty confident saying like what they will be, and in this case most likely other worlds coming in and just sort of taking over and making them niches, or maybe absorbing them or doing something along those lines. I continue to think like we're so dramatically early, but where we'll be in 5 years is just going to rock everybody. How do you guys all feel about that?
Yeah, I think it's if we look at gaming now, how much time kids spend playing Fortnite or something, like that sort of audience is already there of kids, and like buying skins, like the digital collectible sort of value is already there in kids. It's like that generation knows it. That's just sort of, I think NFTs needs to be repackaged a little bit. It still looks so fucking raw. Like it's still like you've got to go on MetaMask, you got to get ETH. It's like, what's all this shit? I got to put £2 into my fucking Xbox account and be able to get a little suit for my cat guy or a new gun. So I think kids are already there at Fortnite. And like if you look at Destiny, like the hub in Destiny and all people like emoting and walking around and like stuff like Minecraft, and like combining all that sort of like social interactability, like playability, and like I think Digital Axe are doing something quite cool. I think they're looking into like creating a file type where you play like Call of Duty and you get a weapon skin there, then you can put that into like Fortnite, you can put that into Destiny. So like it's like sort of creating that sort of cross interaction between games. But I think there's so much more room to go, and we can already see it in gaming. We can see how people are socially, they live in fucking games. Like people have so much of their like status in games, like what items they have, like what their fucking base looks like their level, like all that shit is already in games. But sort of NFTs have got to sort of get the there's got to be some sort of blueprint, I think, to get to that point where games are like people are professional gamers. Like there's so much validation now around gaming. Like that was like, oh, this is like you can't fucking make a living off this. You can't like, why are you putting so much money into your fucking account? Like why are you spending so much money on skins? Like then a week later you're buying a skin because you see the value in it. So it's like that comes quickly. Like that happens quickly. So once you sort of go through that threshold, that sort of like trickles on, I think. So I think we can look at games as sort of like a place to get to, like on that level. So yeah, it'd be interesting.
I think like collectibles and games are going to be the next like big thing, and potentially films too, right? Like I've talked so much about like, what if Numinous becomes like an anime that like exists on the blockchain, right? Like rather than going to like a big studio to produce it, you create it yourself, right? But like the more immediate sense, I think games are next, because having worked in games for a long time, for like basically 10 years, I can tell you there's no way studios, big studios, right, like Ubisoft and Microsoft and PlayStation, there's no way they aren't looking at what's happening and going, how do we make money off of this? And like games tend to be extremely, not all of them, I'm going to use a blanket generalization here. They can often be, game companies, a lot of them can often be very predatory. They can create, mechanics like microtransactions, things that would basically prey on people with addictive personalities. Like I worked in casino games too. It's a similar psychology, right? Like, yeah, like you find, like you hear stories about like so-and-so went into debt because they just got addicted to buying skins in Fortnite or, whatever. Like I'm pulling stuff out of my ass here, but like, like there's no way NFTs aren't going to be repackaged in a similar format with games, right? And it's like you're already buying, a skin in Fortnite. Why not make it something that you can carry out to OpenSea and then like sell and resell on your own, like truly own the NFT to it? So I think like, between companies seeing the potential for growth and monetization and like making money off of this, between that and just, I think the cool opportunities that us as creatives, as someone who does know what it takes to make a game, I see the power there too, and I go, I think games are the next step. So I think we're going to see a lot of games coming out, and it's going to all be somehow related to NFTs. NFTs are just a vehicle, right? Like I think it's so foreign and nebulous to so many right now, because like art was a big first step in all of this, and art is such a subjective thing to begin with. That's like asking someone, now what's your favorite pizza topping, but what's the best pizza topping or the most valuable? And it's like, well, that's incredibly subjective. Just like everyone's taste in music, everyone's taste, their beliefs in, psychology, or philosophy, like religion, whatever. This is all very subjective stuff. So having art is sort of like the first example of what NFTs can do. It would be nebulous to a lot of people. Something like a game that's proven to make money and have like inherent value, like in a much more tangible sense than art, I think that would be more palatable. Like imagine if games were the first NFT boom and it wasn't art. Would people on the outside have a bigger understanding then? Probably, it might not have had the same kind of boom in a similar way, right? I don't know. But like, I think art already being like a nebulous and subjective thing to begin with just confuses people a little bit more.
That's a good point. There is a little bit more structure. It's still nebulous in some ways, but a little bit more structure in games. You're right, because there have been this morning. I wrote a thread on like the gray markets that pop up in games and people clearly wanting to express and exchange, ownership and being willing to like broker deals that they may get frauded out on, like consumer to consumer, at the hopes that they'll get the skin or the jersey or like whatever is the item that they're transacting. But yeah, now, I mean, obviously now you can verify, like you can hold a token and that token represents this, and you can verify that like that's actually what I'm getting from this consumer, over a much better and well-formed marketplace. And then Robbie, to your point, that you can then take that and take it out of the game. That's power. Like that to me, again, somewhat nebulous, but clearly valuable to some extent. Like, okay, yeah. Now if a game goes, let's say a game is legendary, but for some reason they want to like do away with this NFT or whatever, they can try and they can do their thing, But if you own that NFT, like, yeah, that's mine. I can take that on an OpenSea. It has some legacy value. Maybe it has some interoperability. Like I can take it over here. I can do this thing with it over there. I'm not just beholden to like whatever you want to do in your universe with it.
Yeah, this is something that I try to like when people, again, when we have these when I have these conversations with people that are like, I don't get it. I go, well, do you have an Amazon account? They're like, yeah. Do you own videos in that library that you can stream? Well, yeah. Well, you don't technically own them. If your subscription dies, so does all the content that you paid for. Like you don't own it. You can't take these videos that you can stream. Like if your Amazon account got wiped out, it'd be gone. It's not decentralized at all. They're not like tokens that you can take and move from platform to platform with smart contracts. You know, like, and then using examples like that where it's like, oh man, I guess I am, you know, like if I open my Amazon account, you know, I'm gonna see years worth of videos that I bought over the years. Right? Again, they're not hard copies. I don't own it physically, and I don't own an NFT version of those either. Really, I'm just subscribed to Amazon, right? In the same way that it's like all the Adobe programs that I use now. I remember when you used to have to get Photoshop on a hard disk, and now you pay subscriptions. I don't technically own that program, not really. I'm just kind of paying to rent it. I'm renting it out each month, right? It's almost like owning property versus like paying a landlord for it, kind of, you know. I don't. Like, you try to bring up these, you know, connections, right? The similarities, you point to examples, and it's still, I think people get a little bit more when you describe it that way, but even that, it is a very abstract, nebulous thing. I mean, when it's all said and done, like the world's introduction to NFTs were like, here's a really valuable JPEG, and people go, it's a fucking JPEG, like what? And I would have said the same thing too, and I kind of was before I really looked into it. Like before I started getting into all this, I think it took the Mad Dog Jones drop for me to be like, this is real. Cause like before that, I was like, you know, people were trying to explain to me about NFTs, and, you know, I saw people doing stuff, but I was like, that's people. He's like always doing stuff, you know? So I don't know, maybe I think give it time. And as things, you know, begin to progress and more companies get involved, you know, I see all the time, you know, this big thing wants to do things now. Dude, by the end of the year, we're going to have like Baby Yoda Mandalorian NFTs. I don't know what that's going to look like, but like, there's no way Disney and all these other companies aren't going to get involved somehow. I'm sure there'll be like a Marvel NFT platform at some point that'll come out. Same thing with Hasbro is my guess, you know, like just waiting for it. Like it'll probably come in the form of marketplaces first, and then it'll just keep expanding from there. And I think, like I said, I think games will be another like very basic logical progression. So it's just a matter of time. We're just waiting for it, basically.
Yeah.
And then 5 years from now, I don't know what that's gonna look like. I guess you could just live in the metaverse. That's my guess. Like completely, like that movie. What's that movie? Surrogates. You ever seen that movie with Bruce Willis, where like everyone stays home and they like pilot a surrogate that actually leaves their house and goes and lives their life for them. Like, yeah, it's like a sci-fi movie. It's like mid-2000s. It wasn't that good, but like, you know, I'm imagining us just like being our metaverse characters entirely. Like we're not logging into Twitter. We just are living in the metaverse. But if you pull the camera back far enough, it's just us like at home with our like Oculus headsets on or something, you know, like I don't know what it's gonna look like, you know. It's exciting though either way. There's
moral of the story, if we get the surrogates, we better be like Defaced and get a standing desk.
Yes.
Because otherwise we're all screwed.
That's a good call, man. I got a standing desk, but it's always lowered. I don't know what I'm thinking. I don't know. I got it, and then like I started using it as a standing desk, and then I just stopped for a while, and it just hasn't been raised ever since. But technically, here, let me see if I can raise it right now.
Oh shit!
There we go. I'm not moving, but the desk is.
It's kind of defeating the purpose, but life goals. All right, gentlemen.
Are we wrapping it up? I take it.
I think we're wrapping it up.
All right.
I'm happy to be on this NFT journey with the three of you. I can only imagine where we'll be a month from now, let alone 5 years from now. But it'll be a pleasure to find out.
You got to come out to Seattle, dude. Like, listen, Parrot. It is week 1 of the 2-week buffer after my shot 2. So
nice.
basically, a week from today, I'm good to hang out whenever you are.
Robbie's gonna stop sending his surrogate out. He's gonna replace the.
Yeah. You're gonna see some weird rubbery. What the fuck is it? It's me, Robbie. It is not. Whoa, dude.
And Roger, I'll be in New York come Monday night. So maybe next week we do a live stream in person if you're available.
Oh yeah.
Cool, right?
Oh yes. We just let's figure out where to set up. Let's get it done.
All right, sounds good.
Can't wait, man.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us today.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah. Nice hanging out with you guys.
What a crew. What a crew. Robbie, tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Infinite.
The better of the 2 one-on-ones.
Get them both. Get them both.
Yeah, fuck it, man. Get them both, dude. A shout out to anyone who wants good art. Grab it. Grab it while you can.
Love it. All right, guys.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Goodbye. Until next time.